For about 8 months, I made decisions about what to create based on what I thought would perform well. Not just creative decisions, practical ones too. What topics to explore, what opinions to hold publicly, how to present myself in conversation, in writing, in rooms that mattered. I had a mental model running in the background at all times, quiet and constant, that processed every choice through a single filter. Will this land? Will this get the response? Will this metric go up? I had internalized an algorithm and installed it as a conscience. For a while it worked, in the narrow sense that things performed as intended, numbers were moving in the right direction, people were responding in ways I had anticipated, and I felt, in the moment's validation, something that resembled satisfaction. I mistook that feeling for confirmation I was doing something right. I did not understand yet that you can be very good at producing what other people respond to, and very far from producing what you actually have to say. These are not the same skill. They just feel identical while the metrics are climbing. The hollowing out happens slowly. I can trace it now in a way I couldn't while it was happening, because the thing that was disappearing was the very thing I needed to notice its absence. There's a specific quality to work that comes from somewhere real, from genuine curiosity, genuine conviction, genuine need to say the thing. It has a weight that other work does not. And I had been producing work without that weight for so long that I had forgotten what the weight felt like, and I had stopped noticing the work was light. The moment I cannot forget came late on a Wednesday night. I was looking at something I had made that had performed exceptionally well, more response than almost anything I had produced in months. I sat with it for a long time, waiting to feel something about it. Not pride, not necessarily a connection, just some recognition that this thing had come from somewhere inside me and meant something to the person who made it. The connection did not come. It was successful and it was entirely hollow. And I realized, sitting in that silence, that I had built something I did not recognize as mine. I spent the next 3 days in a state I can only describe as reckoning. Not dramatic, I was still functional, still moving through the motions, but underneath everything there was a question I could not put down. What would I be doing if none of this were visible? If the metrics didn't exist? If no one responded? If the algorithm had no opinion? What then? I had not asked that question in 8 months. I had been so occupied with producing what worked that I had stopped entirely asking what was true. But one afternoon, a realization dawned on me. I sat down with no output in mind and wrote something I had been circling for almost a year, something I had consistently judged as too niche, too personal, too difficult to make land with a broad audience. I wrote it for 2 hours without measuring anything. When I finished, I felt something I recognized immediately and had not felt in a very long time. It was not relief, it was not pride, it was the specific sensation of having told the truth. The algorithm cannot give you that. It was never designed to. If you are out there and the work you are producing feels increasingly efficient and increasingly empty, if you are getting better at the performance and losing the thread of what you were actually trying to say, I want to offer you a single question. What would you make if no one could see it? Not hypothetically. Actually sit with it, because the thing you return to in the absence of an audience is almost always closer to your actual purpose than anything you have optimized for external response. For 30 days, make or do one thing per week that you do not share, do not measure, and do not explain to anyone. Write something, build something, pursue a thread of genuine curiosity with no destination attached. The discomfort you feel at the absence of feedback will be proportional to how thoroughly you have outsourced your sense of direction to the response of other people. That discomfort is information. Sit in it long enough to hear what it is saying, then look at what you keep returning to, what you have always come back to before anyone asked you to, what produces that particular sensation of weight in the work, the feeling that it came from somewhere real. That is not a small thing, that is the entire thing. Viktor Frankl, who spent years studying meaning and purpose under the most extreme conditions imaginable, wrote that meaning cannot be given, it can only be found. It cannot be engineered from the outside or optimized into existence. It comes from the collision of who you actually are with what the world actually needs, and no external metric can locate that intersection for you. The algorithm will tell you what gets clicks. It will never tell you what you are for. Stop asking the metrics what to do next. Stop producing for the response before you have checked whether you believe in what you are producing. The audience you build toward an optimized version of yourself will never know the real I, and neither will you if you keep letting an algorithm answer the question that only you can answer. Because I let the algorithm decide who I was, and it nearly worked. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day.